Round 2 has come to a close in the CG Open Invite, and today we're going to be looking at the best duel from each match within that round. Now, we're going to be seeing a lot of decks like MATHMECH making a huge impact in this sort of miniature meta, if you will. We, of course, have a few staples such as Punk we're doing rounds, Labyrinth, of course, we're doing rounds, although those weren't quite worth as many points. We also had Ancient Warriors, we had Salamangreats, we had Springguns as well. Lots of things going on here, including a duel for myself in this event where I was standing in for somebody else. So you're going to see some really cool Springgun gameplay there. But ultimately, round 2 has been a blast. Actually, at the time of recording, round 3 has also finished, so we're going to be looking at that one as well before the end of the week. We're going to be finishing off this week being the final round of the CG Open Invite. Winner will be announced in a video next week, so stay tuned for that. If you want to see anything else that we do on the channel relevant to the CG Open Invite, to our deck profiles, to anything else that it is we do, make sure you subscribe, join the Discord if you want to ask questions, learn more, anything like that. And without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. So we've got the Supreme King up against one Lego Leary here. We're seeing Magistas versus MATHMECH. Two pretty interesting decks here. Magistas, not really one you see very often. One that we did see in round 1, but it unfortunately did not manage to get a win. So we're going to need to see if it performs better here. MATHMECH, of course, being a bit of a staple strategy. Going for a performance play into number 41 Baguska, setting a card and passing. Not exactly the most intimidating of turn 1 boards, but we do have the maximum C, so I guess they must just be banking on the max C. MATHMECH player here going for the Feather Duster, wiping out the Imperm. That's a pretty low impact Feather Duster, but it's fine. Imperm on the Baguska, and from the looks of it, MATHMECH's going for game. They're just going to take on the Maxi challenge. They're going to go for it. Going for Parallel Exceed here to the Lingeribo spot, summoning out another Parallel Exceed from deck before Link summoning into the Update Jammer. They're going for game right and quick here. Transcode coming out. Transcode going to grab back the Update Jammer from the graveyard. They're going to try and win this in one fell swoop. They're going to go Access Code Talker, but pay attention to the card that we just drew here. That's going to be pretty important. Update Jammer then allowing our Access Code Talker to attack twice while our Access Code himself boosts up to 5300. Activating his effect, going to banish a card, pop the number 41, and that's pretty much it. We're going to summon back a card from the graveyard here. Ghost Spell, of course, negating the effect that would summon back from the grave, so that is unfortunately not going to work defensively. Swinging in and having battle damage reduced to 0 by the Juggler in hand. It means we take 5300, sure, but we can negate one of the attacks, which means we're definitely still in this game. So let's see if what we can do here. We are playing into Maxi ourselves, so that is, of course, going to be a little bit rough. We're going to go damage Juggler in the grave, banishing it. We're going to grab the Trick Clown from the deck. We're going to activate Trimagistas. Trimagistas' effect then is going to allow us to summon out Rilliona. Special summon it then. We're going to search our deck for the Invocation. We're going to use Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn going to bring back the one of our performance monsters from the graveyard, allowing us to go into Rilliona, the Exceed monster, the Wondrous Magistas Witch Wardrobe. I can't keep up with these names. These names are goddamn huge. We tried to summon out a monster from the deck off Rilliona, but we do get negated, which is a little unfortunate, but we do have the Invocation in hand. We're going to fuse 2 monsters in hand into the Magistas Spell Spirit here. We're going to go Triple Tactics Talent. We're going to yoink the Access Code Talker, and that is enough damage for lethal. 2k, 1k, and 5300 for game. Pretty cool. I mean, the Magistas cards seem pretty solid. They didn't get their full sort of board and monsters off here, but that was still definitely a pretty decent showing of them coming back out of nowhere. So you know what? Love to see it. That is a 2-0 victory to one Lego Leary over Supreme King, but both players did very well. Alright, getting into our match between Zawardo and 6CZ42 here. We're playing Punk Zombies up against Dynamorphia. So this should be an interesting one. We're going to go Ash Blossom straight into that E-Telly, shutting that stuff down right away. E-Telly then, of course, going to the grave. We're going to go Ziyaman here. Ziyaman paying 600 life points to grab Foxy Toon directly from the deck. They're going to go Foxy Toon, tributing over the Ziyaman to summon it out to the field. I'm not sure if that was a misplay or if there was some sort of strategy here that I'm not seeing, but let's see what we can do here. Perhaps they didn't want to discard the remaining cards in their hand. They're going to go End Phase after summoning the Freesia. Set 4, we got Double Frenzy, we got the Soul of the Supreme King, as well as Dynamorphia Domain. We are going to go for Foxy Toon here. Foxy Toon sending itself as well as an additional card in the hand to the graveyard to summon out a Punk monster from the deck. We're going to go Maxi in response to the Domain and the Soul of the Supreme King being activated. That should give us 2 additional draws at least. We're going to go Supreme King Z Arc, summoning it out. Of course, its effects are negated during the turn in which it is summoned. We're going to fuse together our 2 cards here, Dynamorphia into Kentragina. Foxy Toon then dropping the Kelbeck to summon out the Deer Note. Kelbeck then milling the top 5 cards of both players' decks. We're going to go Kentragina and Solo the Supreme King as Chainlink 1. We're going to flip up Forbidden Droplet here. Forbidden Droplet, pretty interesting play here. We're going to go Frenzy in response. Now, this one I'm not too sure on, but ultimately, I believe it should work out. We're going to send monsters to the graveyard to fusion summon into Dinomorphia Rexterm. Then Chainlink 4 is going to resolve. We're going to negate both the Rexterm and the Soul of the Supreme King, having their attack points and negating their effects. We're going to go for now the fusion summon with Kentragina into a second copy of Rexterm. So all is well that ends well, I suppose. We're going to mill the top 5 in both players' decks, as well as the Supreme King being negated. We're going to go into Chaos Ruler here, but remember, because of the Rexterm, no monster with more attack points than our players' life points can activate their effects, so Chaos Ruler is a little more than a 3k beat stick at this very moment in time. We're going to go for Foxy Toon from the graveyard, swinging in, getting reduced down with the second effect of Rexterm. Rexterm can have your life points to change the attack points of all monsters your opponent currently controls to match your life points, so he was able to bring your opponent's attack points all down to 250. Which, again, grants them Sanctuary for this turn. They're going to pass turn here. There is a bit of a disparity in life points. We're going to normal summon the Ghost Spell. Now we're going to Synchro Summon into the Psychic and Punisher after reducing his attack points down to 125, boosting up to 9,025 attack points and claiming the game. Now that was a pretty clean 2-0 victory here to Zawardo. Very well played using the Dinomorphia cards. They can be very, very dangerous if you don't have the correct answers to them, and usually Droplet is the correct answer, but unfortunately we just had another Rexterm, so sometimes it just be like that, you know. But either way, again, very well played from both players. I absolutely love seeing some pretty cool decks. Let's get in the next one. Alright, we've got Yeetus up against Omar here, creative username I should say. We're going to set to pass here, playing Cyber Darks with the Crush Card Virus. Very interesting strategy here. Let's see how it works out against the Blackwings here. We're going to go Blackwings, Crush Card Virus here in response to Small World. Let's see if there's anything we can pop. Wiping out the Shamal and the Zephyros. Okay. We are going to add Sudri to hand here. We do already have the Black Whirlwind as well. We're going to trigger off this to send our cannon to grave. We're going to activate the Black Whirlwind and Sudri. Now this is not looking good suddenly for our Cyber Dark player, because Sudri and Black Whirlwind by itself is a pretty significantly powerful combo. We're going to grab Vata as well as searching our deck for another copy of Shamal, running multiple Shamal. Okay, dropping Shamal, grabbing the Continuous Spell, special summoning out the Vata, sending another 2 cards from deck to grave to bring out the Black Winged Dragon here, using its effect to bring back the Tunic here, which is interesting, not exactly what I would have done, but still good nonetheless. We're going to add Vata back to hand off of the Shamal, and then we're also going to summon out the Chinook to the field. Now we're going to use Zephyros here, bouncing the Continuous Spell back to hand so we can activate it again. We're going to go Sudri now, sacrificing the Chinook to summon a level 2 tuner so we can use these two to go into the Boreas Storm. Boreas Storm then on summon, going to activate to send another Blackwing from deck to graveyard to copy its level, while our Black Feather Whirlwind is going to bring back Sudri from the graveyard once more. We're going to send Sharnga, so change ourselves to level 2, so we can go into the Black Winged Assault Dragon. We're going to summon a second Black Winged Assault Dragon by banishing the required materials from the graveyard into the battle phase. 32, 32, 14, and 16 for game. Okay, there you go. Blackwings through the Crush Card Virus, still able to bring it back and win a game here. Very good stuff. That was a 2-0 victory here to creative username or Yeetus on the screen. Very well played. Again, Cyber Dark's not exactly having the best time of it. I wish that deck had a little bit more support. Perhaps looking at it from a more generic sort of Cyber Dragon perspective, maybe a little bit better. But we'll have to just see as the sort of tournament goes on and develops what exactly happens with that strategy as well. But nonetheless, very well played to both players. Alright, getting into our next game between Vivan and Yamove, or as the Discord would know him as, Andre. So we're going to go for MATHMECH versus a Labyrinth here. So we're going to go MATHMECH, bring back the... Diameter, bringing back, what was that, a Division from the graveyard? Or Multiplication from the graveyard. Circular then going to grab the Super Factorial from the deck. That's going to trigger off Duel here. Now we're going to go into number 41, Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapired. Baguska then changing everything to defense, negating their effects. We're going to go Sigma and Subtraction onto the board, going Link 2 into Cyber's Wicked, before linking those two off into the Decode Talker Heat Soul. So at least we're going to be able to draw some cards here across the next couple of turns. We're going to set our Super Factorial and pass. So we're sitting on basically Baguska and Max C at the minute. Now, I'm not entirely a fan of the Bagooska play here. I really think that could have been played very differently to more effect, because you are shutting down your own super factorial, but again, it could be that he's relying upon the maximum C as well as potentially the super factorial, but the super factorial, whatever monster you summon, is not going to be activatable thanks to your own Tapir. So I'm not the biggest fan of that play, but it does at least provide a pretty solid floodgate across the board and will also restrict a lot of your opponent's plays, so I can see the merit. We're going to place 2 cards face down here, flipping up Gozen Match in the draw phase, being responded to by the Decode Talker Heat Soul to draw an additional card. So we're going to draw 1, then we're going to have to declare Earth here to keep our Earth monsters on the board. We're going to activate Bagooska's effect to detach 1, of course. Switch up both our monsters to attack mode, tribute off Alimbertium. We're going to summon back Multiplication from the graveyard. I would assume we had some sort of extra deck shenanigan lined up here. But we are going to be met with Welcome Labyrinth. Welcome Labyrinth being responded to with a max C, so at least we get to draw off of the summon of the lovely Labyrinth, and our multiplication is going to be wiped out. We're also going to have another card destroyed thanks to Lovely, and the Chandelier is going to activate in the graveyard, add itself back to hand. So this is just the beginning of the Labyrinth loop, where we're going to start generating crazy amounts of advantage. They sniped the MATHMECH equation, which is very unfortunate. We're going to go for Small World, grabbing ourselves an Ash Blossom from the deck. Very interesting. Battle phase, swinging in with the Tapir and passing turn. I'm not entirely sure what that was about. This may just be a sign of surrender, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, based upon the hand and field situation. We're going to go Extravagance, banishing 6 to draw 2. That's going to be met with the Ash Blossom. We knew that that was there. So Ash Blossom being used here to prevent a draw 2, which is something. We're going to go for Ariana. It could be that we were getting rid of the Tapir so that we weren't heavily restricted by Gozen Match on our following turn, assuming that we have a following turn. Let's just see if we do. We're going to go Welcome Labyrinth here, summoning out Lady Labyrinth, swinging in 3k, 29 and 16. That's going to be more than enough to seal the game. They were put in a very rough spot by the early Bagooska as well as the Gozen Match. The Gozen Match does limit very many of the MATHMECH plays, because most of the MATHMECH cards, they're separated by attributes depending upon the summoning mechanic required to bring them out, and their main deck cards are all different attributes, like Circular being light, all the primary ones being fire, then you've got the earth ones and multiplication, division and such. So bit of a rough situation, I'm going to be real. Definitely putting the hurt on with that Labyrinth deck. Tier 3 for a reason, baby. Labyrinth is great. Very well played to both players though. Already getting into our match between MTO7 and Ichiburo, so we're going to start off with Salamangreat Foxy. Salamangreat versus Dinos. Now, Dinos have a bit of a questionable hand here as far as we can see, but we're going to have to see if it works out for him. We're going to go Balinks off the Foxy, Balinks then searching our deck for the field spell while triggering off the Gazelle in hand. I mean, Dinos might have opened a little bit rough, but Salamangreat opened up everything. This hand is absolutely insane. We're going to go Gazelle here. Gazelle pitching Roar to Grave. Link summoning off into Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf then, of course, being able to recycle cards back from the graveyard. We're going to tribute off Wolf for another Wolf, thanks to our field spell activating its effect. We're going to grab back Roar from the graveyard, setting it down on the field and passing. So we've got that Omni Negate in the form of the trap card, as well as, of course, a Maxi and a Ghost Bell. We're going to go for Call by the Grave right away onto the Maxi, but Ghost Bell's going to protect it. It's going to protect the Maxi from the Call by the Grave. That was just a perfect hand. I mean, that's a tough situation to find yourself in. Very, very unfortunate here. We're going to go Small World here, revealing Giant Rex, banishing Nemesis Corridor to grab ourselves another Max C just to keep ourselves safe for the following turn. We're going to go for the Raptor. Raptor targeting itself to pop itself to start off the Scrap combo, but we're going to be met with Salamangreat Roar, unfortunately negating and destroying our Raptor before we can get any gas going. We're going to set one card and pass back to the Salamangreats. Salamangreats are known for their ability to OTK quite easily off of access code Talker. We're going to have to see if they can facilitate that here today. We're going to go Sunlight Wolf being met with a maximum C. Let's see if our Salamangreat player wants to play through that to push for lethal. We're going to grab Gazelle back from the graveyard and just into the battle phase. We're not giving Dinos any additional cards. We're going to sacrifice the OTK in favor for the more safe and consistent win con of just waiting. We do still have the Roar face down, as well as the Small World here. Small World banishing a card, going to grab themselves Misk from the deck. And then we're going to use Misk in hand. That's going to be met with the Roar, negating the protection effect off of the Misk, which is very, very interesting. Because that does put us in a position where now we have 2 Dinos in grave, and we can bring out the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno going into the battle phase, swinging into Spinny, which is going to reduce the Sunlight Wolf down to 0 attack points in order to gain 1800 life points, which I wasn't really too sure on. But either way, we deal a massive amount of damage and we deal with the Sunlight Wolf. But we top deck into Salamangreat Roar. We're going to use Foxy, dropping the Roar, summon the Foxy, normal summon the Buffalo before going into the Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf, of course, being able to recycle cards back just like before. We're running another copy. We're going to go Gazelle as well as the Buffalo from the graveyard. Gazelle summoning itself to the field. Buffalo discarding 1, drawing 2. Gazelle now going to send an additional card to the grave, and the Dano player knows full well that that is game over. That is easy access to the access code talker play, and that's game. Salamangreat still making waves, showing that they're still as reliable as they've always been, even if they haven't been the most well represented deck in the meta. They did fall off a little bit while the graveyard shufflers were more prominent, and while the shufflers are still legal as such, being limited to 1 each does grant Salamangreat a little bit of reprieve when it comes to resisting them. So either way, very well played. Again, both players played well. It was a very rough situation for Dinos. They made a very earnest attempt at coming back from that one, but Salamangreat's control just proved to be a little bit too much. Very well done. Alright, getting into a match between myself and Silmil HD. So we're going to go for Springgun Booty. Springgun up against Code Talker. Silmil being, of course, our returning champion from Season 3. Let's see if the Code Talkers are still up to snuff. We're going to go Merrymaker here. Merrymaker sending the Bronga. We're going to use Bronga's effect, equipping onto the Merrymaker, so we can go into Sargas. Sargas then, unfortunately, not able to go into the free material Tally-Ho, but we are still going to be able to get some decent advantage out of this. Tally-Ho then activating, grabbing us a Rocket, summoning out 2 monsters from our hand or graveyard. We're now going to go Rocky to add Springgun's kit back to our hand that we sent there earlier in the turn before linking free off in the Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Gonna go Auroradon here, summoning out 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. We're going to use its effect, tributing itself and a token to bring out our Cultwing. I'm pretty sure that's its name, I might be wrong there. We're going to go Cupid Pitch. We're going to increase its level by 1 before synchro summoning off into the Borreload Savage Dragon, equipping on the Auroradon from the graveyard, while Cupid Pitch is going to activate, inflicting 800 damage to our opponent, as well as grabbing us a monster from our deck with 600 defense. So we're going to grab a Nemesis Corridor. So Bronga Knight activating in the graveyard, banishing itself and the Merrymaker to search for Springgun's Watch. We're going to use Springgun's Watch. We're going to grab Springgun's Captain Sargas from the deck, sending the Brothers to the graveyard. Brothers then resummoning Rocky from the grave. We're going to normal summon the kit. We hadn't normal summoned yet. Normal summon kit, grab Branded and High Spirits. We're going to return the Sargas back to the deck. We're going to go Abyss Dweller. Now Nemesis Corridor, returning Bronga back to the deck to summon itself, tributing itself off to go into the into the Thunder Dragon Colossus. Setting 3, we're going to go Smashers now. Smashers banishing Booty to bring out the Sargas that we just returned to the deck. And this is a pretty damn... This is a menacing board. This is tough, right? That's an Omni Negate, locking them out of the graveyard, can't search your deck, and this allows me to pop any card on demand, followed up by Cult by the Grave and Crossout Designator. This is a very tough and almost toxic board to be trying to deal with here, so Silmil, you have my apologies for putting you through this. We go for Sargas here upon the activation of Kodak. We're going to just snipe that card. We didn't need to. I actually forgot he couldn't use it thanks to Colossus, but your boy has a second one anyway, so it doesn't even matter. They're going to go into the Code Talker here off the Radiator in the hand. Unfortunately, none of his cards can be activated in the graveyard thanks to the Abyss Dweller. Into the draw phase, not exactly looking fantastic for our Code Talker player here. We're going to go Field Spell into Explorer. Explorer is a very interesting card. We had a bit of a laugh about this one at the time. They are going to go for Sign That Conflict, negating our Brother's attempt to equip itself onto our card as material. I actually misplay here quite heavily. You're going to see it now. We're going to go for Rocky here. Rocky targeting that, grabbing it from the graveyard. We're going to attach our Sargas on. We're going to use its effect. We're going to blow up all the back row cards, and I assumed that this would just be game over. But I forgot that Code Talker can't actually be destroyed by battle so long as it's pointing at a monster that legitimately saves him for this turn. We are able, of course, to turn our Explorer into Sargas. Sargas then equipping on, grabbing Regulus from the deck. Regulus then summoning itself out to the field. So I don't really think that there's a card he can draw here that would be enough to stop this. I don't think there's any singular card existing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're going to normal summon those, going into Deco Talker Heat Soul. Deco Talker Heat Soul paying 1,000 life points, going to draw into Ash Blossom. That's fantastic. He told me what he drew, so out of solidarity, we're going to banish an Ash Blossom from the deck off across a Designator, just because. And we were in a voice call whenever this happened, so we were having a bit of a laugh over it. It was a funny game, for sure. Into the battle phase. We're not going to waste very much time here. He's going to summon out Lingerabo, and we just take game over it. So, well, unfortunately not able to eke out a dub there. That was a very tough board to be going up against, right? Springgun's a damn menace, right? You would expect to see this deck a little bit more often than you do, but you just don't. I think it's because it dies to like a single imperm, or like the shufflers also really hurt it. There's a whole bunch of things that really hurt this deck. Unfortunately, Code Talkers are not one of those things, but it was definitely a valiant effort here, and it was actually not a sweep either. It was a Summil won the first game, thanks to Corruptor Iblis, so it was actually a 2-1 victory. So again, very well played, really was. Love it. Into the next game. Already getting into our match between AJS, Seymour Butts, as well as Rain here. So we've got what seems to be ABC Symphonic Warriors, which is an amazing concept and strategy here. It actually works out quite well. We're going to be going for our Gear Gigant X using our A and C. We're going to go Gear Gigant's effect, detach C, Crush Wyvern. We're going to grab the Symphonic Warrior Guitar from the deck. We're going to activate Guitar using its effect, discard 1 to special summon a Symphonic Warrior from deck. DJ coming out, going to be met with an Imperm here. That is going to negate its effect, which would have special summoned another Symphonic Warrior from the deck, chaining into one another like absolute mad lads. We're going to go Beyond the Pendulum here, Beyond the Pendulum being an extremely powerful card. We're going to grab another Link Monster from the deck, Guitarist. We're going to use its effect now. Well, we can't use its effect, but we are going to use it to Pendulum Summon into Springgun's Merrymaker. Springgun's Merrymaker being a very interesting little play here, because it allows you to go into Sargass, and then Sargass allows you to grab a Regulus from deck. So even in a non-Springgun's deck, it allows you quite a lot of options. Can activate Regulus's effect here, equipping on the Crush Wyvern, which will summon itself out to the field. Then we can link 3 into Appaloosa. So Appaloosa, setting up a 2400 attack Appaloosa is pretty awesome here. Of course, they do have the 2500 Magnomet on the board, so it's probably not sticking around for very long. Yep, into the battle phase, swinging into Appaloosa, taking it out. But you know what? It was still a good way to prevent yourself from losing on this turn, because now your opponent has sacrificed their battle phase. I don't know if it was a better play than just keeping the cards. I would need to sort of look back, but still definitely pretty decent. Ash Blossom stopping any Whitebeard. We're going to go Baron de Fleur here, putting a bit of a lockdown on that Regulus. We're going to go Black Eyes, grabbing back the Whitebeard, then Golden Hair going to drop Griffin Rider, summoning Golden Hair out to the field as well, going into Blackbeard. Blackbeard now going to use its effect, targeting itself to summon out Lace, because our opponent has a light monster in their graveyard, equipping itself on his material. Now, the reason we did that there is if we had to use Baron de Fleur's effect earlier in the turn to target and pop the Regulus, they would have simply activated Regulus in response, and we would have had to use our Baron de Fleur's Omni Negate in order to stop it from being destroyed. So by waiting and instead putting the Lice out on board first, you're able to put a monster negate specifically on board that is once per turn, not once while face up, so you can negate their attempt at negating your right Baron de Fleur without actually using the Baron de Fleur, which keeps your 2 interruptions live during your opponent's turn. Very smart play, for sure. Drawing into the Union Hanger here. Union Hanger normally an amazing card, but unfortunately Baron de Fleur is still around and kept its negate thanks to our clever play here from AJS on the last turn, and just like that, it looks like our Symphonic Warriors are out of gas. Hard to blame him in the play and situation like that. Again, AJS showing once again his skill with Plunder Patrol. The Plunder Patrol taking a clean sweep thus far through the tournament. Absolutely love to see it. But Symphonic Warriors, now seeing them twice in the tournament, that is an amazing strategy. I'm really, really curious. I would love to see the deck list for that. But that is an amazing deck. Love it.